We know there is wrongdoing. How deep do you think this goes in our government and in our intelligence community?
I think it's very deep. I think it's the all of the top ranks of the DNI, CIA's involved. Certainly the FBI, Main Justice, the National Security Division. There are a lot of people who are involved in this ongoing criminal conspiracy against rights. And let me just make this very clear. This is the biggest scandal in American history.
The Guardian reports Tulsi Gabbard calls for Obama to be prosecuted over 2016 election claims, saying this was a treasonous conspiracy. My friends, to better understand what is going on, we're going to be bringing in Mike Davis of the Article 3 Project. So let's boot that up right now. Get it rolling. Let's see. Loading up. Takes a couple of seconds. There we go. And look, it's giving me some hiccups. Uh-oh. Let's try this again. All right, here we go. Booting it up. Hopefully it works this time. There we go. We got Mike. Mike, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Thanks for having me back on.
Absolutely, sir. So Tulsi Gabbard, it's being reported, is pushing for prosecutions. Donald Trump is posting these AI videos. We've got this reporting of an investigation into Brennan and Comey. Can you break down for us how deep is this? What's the general idea? And do you think we'll actually get prosecutions?
Yes, we will get prosecutions. I feel very confident of that. And I've been saying that for the last 3 years since the Mar-a-Lago raid, 4,500 media hits, over 4,500 media hits, including on your show. And it's very clear when President Obama and Vice President Biden and then President Biden and Hillary Clinton and her campaign and her lawyers and James Comey and Clapper and Brennan and Susan Rice and Lisa Monaco and so many others, when you politicize and weaponize law enforcement and intel agencies to go after your political enemies for non-crimes, that is a criminal conspiracy against rights under 18 USC Section 241. And this is an ongoing criminal conspiracy, and the statute of limitations has not even started to begin because it's an ongoing criminal conspiracy. With a conspiracy, in order, generally under federal law, federal felonies have a 5-year statute of limitations. So if you committed a federal felony more than 5 years ago, they generally can't charge you for that because of the statute of limitations. With conspiracy, the conspiracy statute of limitations does not start ticking until the conspiracy ends. And that means you have to disavow the conspiracy. And more than that, not only do you have to disavow the conspiracy, you can't affirmatively keep concealing the conspiracy with perjury. And there's evidence that in 2022, they continue to perjure themselves in Congress to conceal this conspiracy. So I would say to President Trump and President Biden and all these other Democrat lawfare co-conspirators, lawyer up, because nobody's above the law.
But a lot of people think it's just a distraction, that it's looking too good to be true. There was crimes committed against. It's not about Trump, in my opinion. I mean, obviously he's the center focus of these smears, but the American people who voted for him now twice, this was a crime, a conspiracy against the will of the American people. So a lot of people are deeply offended, angered by what they've learned, but they do feel like it's always too good to be true.
Yeah, I get that, but this is not the Trump 45 administration. President Trump had 4 years. He had never run for office. He had never served in office before he won an upset victory in 2016. He had 4 years in office. He had 4 years in the wilderness where he faced 4 years of lawfare, unprecedented Republican lawfare. He's had 4 years to reflect. He is ready to govern and govern decisively on day one. Susie Wiles, his chief of staff, who's fantastic, has ice running through her veins. She's bold. She's fearless. She is running a very tight ship. Uh, I know that a lot of people want to criticize the Trump 47 Justice Department on Epstein. I understand some of the criticism, but I'll tell you this. I work very closely with Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche and Amel Bovey and Chad Mizell and Harmeet Dillon and Kash Patel and Dan Bongino every day. These are bold and fearless people. I promise that there is going to be accountability because I'm going to make damn sure it happens. I have spent the last 3 years on this mission, and I will spend the next 4 years on this mission until it's done.
So you said conspiracy against rights. So those are the charges you believe are coming?
Yes, that's what I very publicly advocated for. I am not having discussions with the Trump Justice Department officials about this case. I am very public with what I'm saying, and I have been very clear that this is a criminal conspiracy against rights under 18 USC Section 241. The Democrats are very well aware of 18 USC Section 241 because they brought this charge by Jack Smith brought this as one of his 4 charges against President Trump for the non-crime of objecting to a presidential election, which is allowed by the Electoral Count Act of 1887 and the First Amendment. Otherwise, Democrats would be in jail for objecting to Republican wins in 1968, 2000, 2004, 2016. I don't see Al Gore and Hillary and John Kerry in jail for objecting, but we could see Hillary in jail for Crossfire Hurricane. And that is my hope, and that is my mission.
Why not seditious conspiracy?
That could be one of the charges as well. I've heard about the issue of treason. The issue of treason, generally under our Constitution, you have to be working with a foreign government. There is evidence that that with the Steele dossier that they worked with foreign intel to make up the Steele dossier. Let's just back up and remind your audience what this is all about. In 2016, Hillary had her illegal home server with our nation's most classified secrets, which is espionage. More problematically for Hillary, she had her Clinton Foundation pay for, play for, and bribery schemes. She's taking millions and millions of dollars from shady foreign actors, and maybe, just maybe, she's doing official acts as the Secretary of State. The Clinton Foundation is underfunding her lavish lifestyle with Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton and Chelsea Clinton, private jets around the world. They're living like billionaires. And maybe, just maybe, there's some foreign bribery and corruption where she's doing official acts as the Secretary of State. She gets caught with her illegal home server. Congress subpoenas it. What does she do? She bleach bits the server, destroys it, obstruction of justice. She takes a hammer to the phones, obstruction of justice. But guess what? Maybe, just maybe, because this was a non-secured server in her bathroom at her home, that the Russians and the Chinese hacked it. And maybe, just maybe, she's worried that this is going to come out before the 2016 election. And that's why she had her lawyers like Mark Elias at Perkins Coie make up the Steele dossier, the Russian collusion nonsense. They lied to the federal FISA court. They spied on presidential candidate Donald Trump and his aides and his allies. They continued to spy on Donald Trump when he became the president. They hobbled his presidency. And the reason they did this is when this pay-for-play foreign bribery and corruption came out before 2016, Hillary wanted to say, you can't believe this. This was a Russian disinformation campaign. Yep. This was a campaign dirty trick with Trump. This is Russian collusion. And you say, Mike, that sounds like a crazy conspiracy theory. And I'd say, yeah, maybe, but you go to 2020 and they did the same damn thing with Hunter's laptop. 51 former Intel officials worked with the CIA and said Hunter's laptop of the Biden family corruption had all the hallmarks of a Russian disinformation campaign. They deplatformed the New York Post, America's oldest newspaper. They they worked with Google, Amazon, Facebook, and Apple to deplatform anyone who posted the link to the story. That story, they know, would have made sure that Trump stayed in the White House. But because they blocked that story from being shown, Biden was able to rig and steal the 2020 election, right? And so that's what this is all about.
There were there are theories, I'll keep the language a little light, about the Clinton Foundation and their global initiative receiving lots and lots of money while she was Secretary of State and while her family was deeply connected in government. And so I'm just going to say, I don't know if any of that's true. Just, funny thing, people noticed all the money stopped coming in once she lost the election. But I wonder if the issue with the private server and why she deleted it is, I wonder if this is kind of what you're suggesting, that she has this private server in her home, which is illegal. And when subpoenaed, she destroys it. Could it be that the reason she had it was to communicate illicitly with individuals for, let's just call them, off-the-books contributions?
Of course. And she knows that evidence is in there. Of course, that's what's in there. That's why she destroyed the evidence. And look, that is the whole point of the lawfare. Remember, they ran this Russian collusion hoax, Crossfire Hurricane, against President Trump, that against a presidential candidate, against the president of the United States, and Trump declassified Crossfire Hurricane. He had to have Rick Grinnell, Kash Patel, the current CIA director, John Ratcliffe, who was the DNI director at the end of the Trump 45 administration. Those three guys were the heroes who got Crossfire Hurricane evidence found and declassified the day before Trump left office. He declassified it. The spooks in the intel community and the Justice Department ran to the White House chief of staff and said, you cannot release this. This is a criminal violation of the Privacy Act. So the chief of staff said, okay, the day they left office in 2021, do the Privacy Act review and get out Crossfire Hurricane. This is declassified. They didn't do the Privacy Act review. They did the Mar-a-Lago raid. That's the point of the Mar-a-Lago raid, was to get back Crossfire Hurricane. And maybe they didn't get back Crossfire Hurricane because Trump had it somewhere else. And so that's why we saw the 4 indictments. The tried to take him out, for non-fraud, bankrupt him, tried to throw him in prison for life 4 times. The trying to throw him off the ballot, tried to take off his head twice when Biden underfoot. This is all coordinated by Biden. All of that lawfare was coordinated by the Biden White House.
Well, I don't know that I argue Biden was coordinating it, but the administration, I get your point. Most people would just assume that Biden was sitting there in a chair sleeping half the time and someone else was giving those orders. But man, when you put all these pieces together, should the puzzle pieces fit, this is not just a conspiracy against rights. This is crazier than any movie plot we've ever heard. This is a near decade-long conspiracy, probably longer, because if we're looking at Hillary Clinton or whoever else, there's a great story from Politico magazine called Biden Inc., where they say that the Biden family fortune curiously tracks alongside his political ambitions. That is, when he was put in charge of Iraq, his brother gets all of these lucrative construction contracts. His son is flying with him on these equity deals, ends up on the board of Burisma. I think what we're looking at is the pay-for-play scheme. It's been going on for a long time, and they got caught. And they didn't think Trump was going to win. And now these criminal elements of our government, it appears, have tried everything in their power to stop Trump and failed. So now the question is, how far is Trump willing to go? One thing I find fascinating is you've got numerous reports from both DHS and the DOJ that they're administering lie detector tests on agents. If there is this conspiracy, which sounds crazy to say because of the preponderance of evidence, but we know there is wrongdoing. How deep do you think this goes in our government and in our intelligence community?
I think it's very deep. I think it's the all of the top ranks of the DNI, CIA's involved. Certainly the FBI, Main Justice, the National Security Division. There are a lot of people who are involved in this ongoing criminal conspiracy against rights. And let me just make this very clear. This is the biggest scandal in American history. Yeah. By far. By far. This is a criminal conspiracy started by President Obama, and it continues to this day. And they are trying to, like you said, subvert the will of the American people 3 different times, 3 different elections, 2016, 2020, 2024. They tried to change the outcome of these elections. They were successful in 2020, and we had 4 years of disaster for we the people. It was a disastrous 4 years with an open border, 20 million people flooding in to our country, including fighting age men from the worst trouble spots, people who do not share our values, particularly in the Middle East. I mean, it's this is I don't think people understand that today's Democrats are not liberals who love America and just disagree with us on the best way to get there. These are Marxist. They hate America, and they're trying to destroy America from within. They are trying to subvert America, and the number one leader of this subversion is Barack Obama.
What do you think happened in 2020? Do you think that this was through the Hunter Biden laptop story, the fake news, the lies, or do you think there was something more nefarious, like actual manipulation of ballots, or fake ballots, or something like this?
Both.
Wow.
Look, this is how I think Joe Biden was able to rig and steal the election. They use COVID as an excuse to illegally change state election laws in violation of the Elections Clause. State legislatures must set state election laws. They ignored that. They blamed COVID. And then they mass mailed raw live ballots out to old lists, including college students who have moved 10 times during their college careers. These live ballots pile up. You can gather these ballots, you can vote them, and then the only way you stop voter fraud when you have mail ballots like that is through signature verification, where they take your signature that you have on file when you register to vote with your signature when you mail in your ballot, and they have machines that compare those. But they turned down those machines where it was meaningless, because apparently COVID changes your signature, according to these Democrats. And then that's how they were able to rig and steal the election.
Now, I brought this up quite a bit with Texas v. Pennsylvania in 2020. Even if we step outside of fraudulent ballots or ballot harvesting or whatever, I mean, we saw that report that came out through, I think it was Chuck Grassley's efforts, that China did manufacture fake IDs so they get their citizens mail-in votes. But Texas v. Pennsylvania, Texas made that argument at the Supreme Court that the states had unilaterally altered their elections in violation of the Constitution. Why didn't we get a Supreme Court willing to at least answer the question yes or no as to how we handle this?
I clerked on the Supreme Court for Justice Gorsuch, and I have helped confirm a record number of judges for President Trump in his first term. I've worked on judicial selection and confirmations for the last 20 plus years. These federal judges are politicians in robes, and they're not bold and fearless like they should be. They have lifetime tenure. They have pay protection. They're supposed to just follow the law wherever it leads. And they don't, because they're politicians in robes. And unless you change the politics and make the politics right, it is very hard for justices, particularly the Republican appointed justices, to follow the law when there is tremendous public pressure. That is why, again, I did 4,500 media hits over 3 years from the Mar-a-Lago raid to change the politics so President Trump could make the novel presidential immunity arguments, and then the Supreme Court could rule for the president on that argument because the politics were right.
So right now, the institutional view is that Tulsi Gabbard has made outrageous claims that are conspiracy theories and they're unfounded. I went to a handful of these large language model AIs. They're supposed to aggregate the news, right? And the attitude they all seem to portray is, if I ask of these search engine AI things, did Obama engage in a treasonous conspiracy or coup, it will say no. It will say the Director of National Intelligence has revealed certain documents that she claims makes the case for treasonous conspiracy. However, none of it is proven, and it's all political conjecture, blah, blah, blah. Clearly, at the institution, and the reason why they do this is because they are aggregates of news reports largely weighing the New York Times, Washington Post above that of independent news outlets. So that reflects the institutional view. So the spicy question I have for you is, in the event Trump does have his DOJ arrest Barack Obama and these former intel guys, do you think there is a fear that there will be resistance in any way from this clearly powerful and malevolent political faction.
Yes, of course. This is the deep state, and they everyone thinks that the deep state is a conspiracy theory, and we see the lawsuits where when President Trump tries to fire the deep state, somehow the deep state that it was a conspiracy theory 6 months ago is suddenly filing lawsuits with plaintiffs in the deep state. So yes, they will absolutely viciously fight this. I would say this. My advice would be to start, instead of going right to seditious conspiracy or even treasonous conspiracy, let's start our grand jury probe under the theory of conspiracy against rights. You open up a federal grand jury, say in Fort Pierce, Florida, where they did the Mar-a-Lago raid. You'd have the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida bring this special grand jury in Fort Pierce, Florida, and then you follow the evidence wherever it leads, methodically, quietly. You're calling in witnesses, you're gathering evidence. You're not going to have indictments immediately. So people need to understand this is going to take several months to gather this evidence and present it to a grand jury and bring these indictments, right? So you're not going to see indictments this week. You're not going to see indictments next week. This has to be methodical. This is the most important thing that the Trump administration is going to do, along with immigration. So it's immigration and rooting out this deep state lawfare, this conspiracy to subvert the will, to overturn the will of the American people in the last 3 presidential elections. This is it. Our sovereignty as we the people depends on picking our leaders. They subverted that in the last 3 elections, and it also means picking our populace. And Biden destroyed that with his open border and bringing in 20 million people illegally, unlawfully mass paroling these people into our country. These are the 2 most important things for our people, for our sovereignty. We are the sovereign, and we have to protect this. We have to defend this. We have to win this fight over our sovereignty over the next 4 years.
The challenging conclusion I have logically is, if they've engaged in this conspiracy, they're certainly willing to break the law and use illicit law enforcement against their political opponents. They raided Trump's home. They sought to put him in prison. They arrested and charged his lawyers at the state level, falsely accused him of fraud. This shows a willingness to go to the most extreme ends. So
you left off one. You left off one. Joe Biden tried to get President Trump killed twice when he underfunded his Secret Service protection twice, said he's the gravest threat to American democracy, and to put a bullseye on Trump's head.
Oh, agreed.
That's the one you left off.
Oh, I think actually, if we went to the full list, it'd probably take 2 or 3 hours of all the things they've done. But my point is, if we know what they're willing to do and have done over the past 10 years, and Donald Trump is seeking to lock him up or get accountability, and we assume, based on the actions they've taken, they will resist, is it not unreasonable to conclude that they would resist eventually by force if need be? Not just in the legal system.
There's no question. They used deadly force when they raided Mar-a-Lago. They raided Mar-a-Lago with deadly force, with shoot-to-kill orders if they resisted. They were willing to. Joe Biden was willing to kill the former president of the United States with an armed raid with shoot-to-kill orders to get back Crossfire Hurricane.
Now, who are these people telling me I'm crazy for suggesting we may be facing civil war?
Look, I hope it doesn't get to that point, but let me just say this to the Marxist. We have a hell of a lot more guns than you guys do.
Well, I will stress, right? And so obviously I feel like this is where you go no matter what. And, you know, I call it the time travel test. If you went to 2015, 2016 and told your average person 10 years from now, you will have the J6 pardons, you will have Obama being accused of treasonous conspiracy against a president, you would have had the worst riots in 50 years, you would have former intelligence guys being investigated for perjury, all of these, plus a pandemic, nobody would believe you. And so I'm looking at this, and I don't know how anyone can conclude anything other than what is the logical pathway by which The Obama machine, whatever this was, comes out, puts their hands up and says, guys, Trump's not a fascist. We lied. He didn't actually do these things. We were covering up our crimes. Please arrest us and take us to jail. It's 0%. And so when you look at even these No Kings protests and what are they, Good Trouble protests, I think they called it, they've only ever tried to escalate the street level violence to the point now where over the 4th of July week, we had 3 shootings against law enforcement. Now, some have pointed out, Tim, cops get shot at all the time, and we've seen this in 2020. I suppose, just that, sure. But when you combine this with the accusations of a treasonous conspiracy, I don't see a plausible reality where the Democrats simply just say, you're right, we did it, please arrest us, we'll go to jail and we'll stop resisting. I see them saying, mobilize, Trump is a fascist, he's doing what we've always feared, and now he's going to arrest his political opponents, and the only way to resist now is in the streets. That seems 100%.
Look, I have always thought this. Barack Obama is a Trojan horse. He is a Marxist. He hates this country. He is trying to destroy our country from within. He is trying to subvert our country. He is the puppet master for Joe Biden. Barack Obama and his people that he placed in the Biden White House have been running this country for Joe Biden over the last 4 years. This guy is a subversive Marxist who hates America. He's trying to destroy our country from within. He's been trying to do that since he burst onto the political stage in 2006. This guy, there are 3 forces of Marxist evil in this country: President Barack Obama, George Soros, and China. And those are the 3 3-legged stool of this Marxism that are trying to subvert and destroy our country from within.
One of the weirdest things to me is being from Illinois. I remember when Obama got elected, and he was asked almost immediately, "Will you run for president?" I thought it was weird that right when he gets elected to the Senate, within a couple of years, he's basically vacant and running for president, and now he was the front runner. It just seemed very strange to me. So I don't know if is the idea that there's a force behind Obama that was propping him up for whatever this conspiracy is?
I mean, look, he was raised by Marxist. He was a community organizer. His parents were Marxist. Valerie Jarrett was his, was his mentor. He brought in Valerie Jarrett to help him run his White House, run his administration. This guy's a Trojan horse, right? And people fell for it because as a country, Americans thought, oh, we can elect the first black president. He can heal the country. This guy has done more to divide and destroy America than any political figure in recent political history.
So just last question, I suppose, with these developments today, I know you mentioned indictments could take a year. It could take some time. What do you think the next move is going to be from the Obama cabal or whatever that you'd call it?
I think they're going to try to destroy as much evidence as possible. I would say to anyone who witnessed this crossfire hurricane criminal conspiracy, don't go swimming in Barack Obama's pools or ponds. You may not make it. So, but I would say and I say that kind of joking, and I would say this to the lawfare Democrats, like I've been saying since the Mar-a-Lago raid, when you thought I was crazy, I might be crazy, but I'm almost always right, and lawyer up, because justice is coming, and I'm going to make damn sure that happens.
Right on. Mike, thanks for hanging out and explaining this to us. Where can people find you?
Article3project.org, article number 3project.org, and thank you, Tim.
Thanks for joining me. I really do appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
And, of course, once again, that was Mike Davis of the Article 3 Project, who's been talking about this for a long time and breaking this down, and as he's been saying, relentlessly, especially since the Mar-a-Lago raid. But he brings up a really great point. Look, I read all day, every day, and sometimes it's kind of crazy. There was a video I saw where someone said, I can't remember what it was. He said, I forget about COVID sometimes, but then I play this video to remind myself. And it was a guy doing a musical about being locked in his home and needing to get his 4th vaccine. And it's important to remember that We pass over so many stories, we forget about them sometimes. For instance, when Trump's home, Mar-a-Lago, was raided, they were armed and authorized to use lethal force. For those that don't know, Mar-a-Lago may be Trump's home, but it is public. That is, you can walk onto the property. You can walk up to the gates. You can say, I'm here for lunch or dinner. It's not so easy. It's a club. You got to be invited. My point is, it's a private club, but it is public in the sense that when I was invited there, here's how it worked. Trump's a very open guy, and he's very nice, magnanimous. I got invited there a couple times. Showed up and walk up and just say, howdy. And you walk in. Your car pulls up. They say, what are you here for? You say, we're getting dinner. Okay. They have fundraisers. They have events. Now, it's private, okay, in the formal legal sense. But it's public in the sense that the security is very reasonable and lax. That means there are regular people who walk in every day. They order food and you sit on the terrace and it's beautiful and the food's delicious. So when they raided this place with guns, authorized to use lethal force, there were people here who were just swimming in a pool at a beach house. It's a fun hangout. Expensive. You got to pay a big one-time fee to go, but once you're in, you get invited, you're in. You can invite people. And then you rent out a room. They got like 70 rooms, I think. So it is a private club, but my point is there's people on the grass playing croquet. There's people walking the grounds. I think there's probably golf somewhere. I don't know. It's insane to think they were prepared to kill anybody who got in their way. My friends, we're going to be back tonight at 8 p.m. Timcast IRL. Don't miss it. Smash that like button. Share the show with everyone. Follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. Russell Brand is going live, so let's get that raid going for him. Shout out to the Rumble morning lineup. Don't forget, the DC Comedy Loft events are back, baby, and we want you to come, especially now more than ever. I want to say this. My friends, go to dccomedyloft.com. In the events section, you'll see us down there July 26th. If you're in the area, if it's easy for you to come, please get tickets now. Get those tickets. Okay? It's a full kitchen. They got drinks. It's a 3 p.m. show, so it's an afternoon easy dinner show because it's like a pre-tape. It's more like a studio event. We did this at a studio before. We're now doing it as a hybrid of a public event where you can buy tickets and come because we want to get more people to join the debate on stage and have fun and be funny and be a little bit more entertaining than Jubilee. I mean, people love Jubilee. They love that surrounded thing. But I'm like, everybody talks as fast as they can, scared they're going to get voted out. Nah, we don't want that. You come up on stage, you're going to be like, what's your point? You got no point? Okay, you can go, right? But anybody can come up. We got security, don't get me wrong. But considering they're trying to shut us down, let's send a message. And here's a message you can send. You want to send a message to these Antifa types? Buy your tickets. Come. Let's sell this out. We had already mostly sold out, but then they canceled on us, and now we're kind of concerned. We know what's going to happen. As you know, the Michael Malice one we announced earlier. So when you go back to August 2nd, you can see our preferred seating is now sold out. I'm glad, because what has me deeply concerned is that they canceled and refunded all the tickets, and there's going to be a lot of people who don't know, and they're not going to buy those tickets again. And if that happens, Antifa is going to say, we win, because we got the venue to nuke all of your tickets. Now, we're told we'll be taken care of in that event, but we want people to come to our events so we can build community and bring people closer together. Do not let them shut us down. We may have gotten the events back up, but the canceling of these tickets has been basically a knife in the gut. So show up, dccomedyloft.com. It's in the event section. I want you to be serious about buying. I want people buying the tickets just to buy them. And I want you to be serious. That's why I'm not going to post a link. If you want to come, you go to the website, you go down there, you buy those tickets, you join us and say, we will not let these fringe far-left lunatics stop the conversation. Because I'll tell you this, some of these fringe far-left lunatics, we want to come in, sit down, and join the show, and they intend to. Peacefully and rationally, and I respect it. So these people who want to try and get us canceled, ain't no way. Ain't no way. Thanks for hanging, everybody. Follow me on X and Instagram. We are back tonight at 8 p.m., and we will see you all then.